Trigger warning. This video contains footage of a non-licensed plumber performing plumbing activities. If you find this type of content triggering, please click off and stay tuned for my future non-plumbing videos. Thank you. First, I demoed my existing bathroom and closet with the plan to turn what used to be the closet into the tub and shower area. The demo part was pretty hectic, and to be honest, I forgot to film that, but I'm including some photos with a video of the original space here. Also, the original shower that was there had visible cracks in it, and it turns out there was actually some water damage beneath it, which you'll see in the second part of this video. So really I had no choice but to demo this. I needed to move the existing drain pipes to new locations. I had a 3-inch vent and one branch in my bathroom, but because the overall spacing of my bathroom would be bigger and the distance between the P-trap and vent would be closer to or greater than the maximum allowable distance, I decided to be on the safe side and add a vent branch leading to the future tub and shower to my main vent. I first drilled a small hole where I wanted the vent to go, and I checked the crawl space to verify that it wasn't over any joists. As an aside, the crawl space is a bit scary. After verifying the position of my hole, I drilled a hole for the vent pipe. I also followed a similar process to drill a hole for my future tub drain and shower drain. I ended up having to pull up the subfloor in the area where I placed the hole for my tub drain, as you'll see in a subsequent video, but at least this allowed me to visualize where the drain would go. Next, I framed out my shower ledge using 2x4s, and part of the vent I'm adding will end up going through this ledge. I put the ledge right in front of the wall. There should be a slight slope in the ledge towards the drain, so I cut an additional board for the top and placed it on a scrap piece of board. I screwed shims along one edge of the board and used a planer to create a slight slope. I used a level with a pitch file to ensure that I had at least 1/8 per inch slope. Then I secured this board to the top of my frame. I created a similar wall for the opposite side of the shower where the tub would be, but I ripped the 2x4s into 2x3s to make this wall slightly more narrow. and I left the middle section open to create a cool area for the tub filler. I drilled a hole in this new wall as well, where another branch of my vent will go. I then cut a section out of one of the studs so I can fit a trap arm for my future sink, and I placed another stud a few inches away from this for added support of the wall. I drilled holes in the ceilings for the pipes, and then it was time to move on to the attic. In the attic, I first cut my main 3-inch vent as I needed to add a separate branch to go in the opposite direction of the existing one to go into the shower and tub area. I also cut the existing branch to remove the old Y. I then removed the burrs from the pipe and did all of the dry fits to make sure that everything was sized properly. Then I used primer and pipe cement to make all of my connections, twisting each fitting a quarter of a turn and holding it down for about 30 seconds for each connection. For my branches, I used upside down Ys pointing in opposite directions. One 2-inch Y headed toward the shower and tub area, and one 1.5-inch Y headed toward the original branch towards the future sink. Once the attic connections were made, I put my middle school math education to good use by calculating the length of pipe I needed for the slight turn of the pipe toward the ledge. Then I cut the pipe, deburred it, and used primer and cement to connect it to the new vent branch. I continued this process with all of the pipes in the crawl space. Unfortunately, the crawl space was so dark, cramped, and smelly after I cut the old drain pipes that I didn't film this part. For a summary, I cut the old branches to the shower, tub, and sink and created separate connections toward the same branches. As an aside, I had to do a ton of research on which fittings to use in which situations, and because I wanted to avoid cutting into the main septic line, it took a lot of planning to get my new septic branches to break off in the same position as they did with the prior bathroom layout. Since it was my first time touching septic drains, all of this took me quite a bit of time planning and research. In my research, I came across a fitting cheat sheet from Dylan or Hammerpedia, which I found to be extremely helpful. Dylan, if you by chance see this video, thank you for your awesome resource, and I hope that I make you proud with my amateur plumbing. I dry fitted the trap arms, but I didn't make permanent connections for these yet, so I'll show you when I do that step. It was now time to move on to the rough-ins. First, I installed my shower valve. The valve I used had a connection for the tub that I had to solder off with a copper cap. I'll walk you through the details on how I solder in my next video. I then put a support board between two studs in my ledge and attached the shower valve to that. I attached a drop ear to a separate support board close to the ceiling for the shower head. For the tub filler, I found this filler on Facebook Marketplace. It came with Pex B fittings, which I removed, and I used two Pex A NPT fittings and threaded them into my tub valve. I had to cut a piece of the subfloor to insert the tub filler rough in between the floor joists. I first drilled a hole to better feel where the floor joists were, and then I used a jigsaw to cut out the space between the floor joists, as well as an oscillating saw to cut the boards close to the wall. I was careful during this step not to cut any of the floor joists. I then cut a 2x10 board to the width between the floor joists and doubled up on the boards for added security, attaching them together with construction adhesive and a few nails. I marked where to drill the holes for the tub filler and drilled them through both boards. Then I put a machine screw through the boards and tightened down the tub filler rough end to the boards, making sure everything was square. I also drilled 2 additional holes on opposite ends of the boards for my PEX pipes to go through. I put the boards between the joists, leveled them, and screwed them into the joists from the crawl space. In doing all of this demo, I exposed all the insulation, which turned out to be R13. This is no longer to code, so I had to take all of this out and replace it with R15. I also used faced insulation for a vapor barrier since these are all exterior facing walls. And that's it for this video. Stay tuned for part 2 of the remodel, which I'll post shortly.